Well, hello there, everybody. My name is OtakuTakaTaco, and welcome to a basic. Um, I'm not really entirely sure what I'm going to call this. It's not. It's not a like Photoshop tutorial, because I'm not going over everything in Photoshop. It's just kind of a YouTube help video, I guess, or similar projects. And this is going to be creating thumbnails. I might do a series of these kind of things, like creating thumbnails, creating channel art, creating, I don't know, Twitter banners, which basically same thing as channel art, just different resolution. And if you want, I can do like a simple Premiere tutorial, though most of that would mainly be for Let's Plays, because I'm not too experienced in a whole lot of heavy editing. And Camtasia also, I can do tutorials on that if you guys want those. I don't know. But I know for a fact I'm doing this video, and if you want me to make more tutorials of other things in the future, I would gladly be able to do that, because if hopefully you like this video, and hopefully you find something helpful here. And like I said, this isn't necessarily a tutorial, it's more, I don't know why I keep saying tutorial, it's not tutorial, it's more of a my creative process and things I've learned and little tips and tricks and things I do making my videos, and hopefully you find something that helps, though I will give you a few things, a few little pointers and tips. So, like I said, I just, what I did was File, I hit New, and we're going to create ourselves a new little preset here, which is going to help you a lot. So, YouTube's thumbnail preset is 1280 by 720, and there is not a preset already made for that. So what I like to do is that the resolution 300 pixels per inch, that's fine. That works, I guess. I don't know. I don't really mess with any of this other stuff down here. I've always left it the same. And so we're going to hit Save Preset, and we're going to name this preset. Well, I mean, I put YouTube thumbnail. That's not a thumb. That's the. Okay, that's not thumbnail. Thumbnail. Or, I mean, you could name it Waffle Biscuit. You can name it whatever you want. I'm gonna name it something new right now. I'm gonna name it no, taco's too predictable. Flapjacks. There you go. Name your preset flapjacks if you want. I'm not telling you what to do, but I'm just saying, you know, it's probably a good idea if you do that. But 1280 720 will be your thumbnail size. Now, what do you do with this? This isn't a thumbnail. Alright. So, let's say you want to put some words there. Well, you can use your little font tools over here, and you can put words there, but we're not going to do that yet, because we don't know what to put the words over, because right now this white blank area is not very fun. So what we're actually going to do is, instead of going through the process, which we could do, of turning it into a smart object, then we will rasterize the layer, which, let me tell you, you're going to be doing that a lot if you're working with Photoshop. Anybody that actually has worked with Photoshop will tell you, yes, you're going to be doing that a lot. Because what that actually does is it makes it a directly editable file. Like, if it's not rasterized, you can't edit anything in any way. You can't erase anything. Like, see how I just erased that and it's transparent behind it? If it was a smart object, but it has to be a smart object before it's not rasterized. See? It just did that for me. So if you ever forget to do it, it'll say like, hey, do you want to rasterize this? You can hit OK. But what we're going to do is you can hit Magic Select, your little magic wand over there, and boom, now there's nothing. You have Magic Select, Quick Select, Magic Wand normally is what I use. However, there's a much simpler way of doing that rather than going back and forth. And quick tip, Control-Z shifts between the last two actions. It doesn't actually continue backing up. If you want to continue backing up, you hit Control-Alt-Z. These are just some keyboard shortcuts, and now you see it's back to where we started. So I'm going to deselect just so there's not the little white lines over there. And we're going to just hit New Layer. The layer is going to be blank, and we're going to click on that layer and just delete it. And that's much simpler. You don't have to rasterize it. You don't have to select it, hit delete. You know, it's a lot quicker, it's a lot simpler. Now, what do we want to put here? I already have prepared a few things, and I don't actually have any thumbnails that need to be made. So I'm going to basically be remaking one of our old thumbnails. Our old thumbnails? Whatever, you know what I mean. So I'm just going to be using this one from the last episode of Life is Strange. Hopefully you watched that. If you haven't, go watch it. It's a pretty good episode, if I do say so myself, even though it messed up a lot. But how do we get this here? Well, if you're using Premiere, which it's a very similar way to doing it in Camtasia as well. Let's say you want to go to, say we wanted, where is that at? Let's say we want, I don't know. You can zoom in a bit. Ooh, let's see. Let's say we wanted this to be it, but there's a face cam if you're using face cam. Hide that, and what you will do is you click this button down here, export the frame, and also make sure that your preview is in a full resolution. When you're editing, you can have it to like half or fourth, and that won't affect your final product, but if you export a frame, I have learned, it will export the frame in half of the size. So if you export the frame, you know, name it Jalabadufko, format, and then where it will save to, I just have mine default to desktop because it's easier to find, and you'll hit, you know, OK, but we're not going to do that right now. Because I already have the thing, I just thought I would show you that, in case you don't know how to get these. That's how I get my things. So make sure you hit place. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go back to that folder rather, and we're going to be putting our logo there. So let's put this right here, and we're going to lock the resolution, because when you scale it with the corner, if you don't have it locked, you can you know, make it squinted or do that, and I just lock it the first time I move it, just so it's even, it's nice, it doesn't get distorted. We're going to place it, let's make that a bit bigger actually. Place it right there. We just hit place. That looks kind of boring though. So what you can do is you can double click on the right side of something and you get an effects window. Another way of getting to that, if you have trouble double clicking on it, because sometimes you'll just keep hitting the rename, you just hit that and there is a button somewhere. I actually forget where it is because I am so used to just double clicking on it. There's a button somewhere. I promise it's somewhere. That is effects. But I'm not seeing it actually. Okay, so maybe there's not a button. Maybe I was wrong about that. Maybe I've been wrong this entire time. Oh, there's the button. It's down there. You click on this. It must be different in Creative Cloud. No? Maybe? I don't know. But anyway, what you're looking for is this window. So a few things we can do. We can bevel and emboss it. We can add a little bit of a contour to give it a bit of a faux 3D effect. We're going to add a drop shadow. And we can change the angle of that. We can change how far away it is, just so it looks like it's sitting on something. Maybe change the opacity up so it's noticeable. Size seems fine where it's at. I normally don't edit that. I normally do the spread just a little bit. And we're going to put it right here, and it looks good. But that's not quite right. We want to do some more to that. So you press Control T, it'll bring you into transform, and we will go to perspective, and we'll bring this one. Now make sure you don't lock when you're doing this, because it won't. The whole point of it is that it's changing every point individually. And you'll bring that one up just a bit, and that one down just a teeny bit, and then we will place it. As you can see, that adds a bit of a curve, not a curve, a bit of an angle to it, so it looks like it's an object sitting there with a shadow behind it. Looks really nice. And one thing I like about Creative Cloud, I'm just going to point this out, is these little pink lines shows you when you're lined up with something else, or if you that, it shows you exactly how far away it is. It's nice. It makes me happy. But something is still not quite right. If we say we wanted to set it right here, it's over Max's face, and it's over Chloe's face, and it's over Douche McGee's face, and I don't care about it being over his face, because he's dumb, but I don't want it over Max and Chloe's face. We want to add a bit of a different style to this. So, we're going to hide that by clicking that little icon right there. Icon. Get it? Okay, I'll stop. And we're going to sit... I cannot talk. Why am I doing tutorials if I can never talk correctly? Polygonal lasso tool. And you could use the regular lasso tool and just click and drag and draw your own little shapes. But you have to have a very steady hand to do that. And I most certainly do not. So we're going to zoom in. Right here. We're going to click here. Now, we're going to make this visible and see where it overlaps and where we need to start. So I'm just going to start halfway up her head. Like if it was moved down further, you obviously want to start down further. And I will show you what exactly I'm doing. But you'll start and you'll draw these little lines, and they'll be straight lines, and you can hold it once, or no, not with this. I forget how. There is a way I think you can make curved lines. But I'm not going to get into that right now, because I'm not entirely sure how to do that, and I don't want to look stupid. So we're just going to kind of outline her hair just a little bit. If we go over a little bit, that's okay, because we can touch it up in just a few seconds. So we're going to go down the front of her face, and I think that is far enough. So if you drag down here, you press Control, you see the little circle right next to the mouse icon right there, pops up, and click, and it'll close it off from each point wherever you have your cursor at. That's a nice little thing rather than having to click down here and then find the end and then click on it. It's a lot easier to do that way. So, most people, what they will do is make sure you have your background layer selected. What most people do is they will rasterize it. They will, oh wait, no, just kidding, rasterize it. I don't know what I'm thinking. And they'll layer via cut. That's not a good thing, because now you see we have these little lines, and those don't go away. So we're not going to layer via cut, and we actually don't even need this layer rasterized at all. And I will unrasterize it just to show you that's true. Layer via copy. Now what that does is creates another layer right here with whatever we have selected. So if we go to our move tool, you see that looks weird. That looks really weird. You have this layer that's movable, but it's still in the background layer, so that way if you have to erase anything or select more, or let's say we want to, like, well, I'll go ahead and show you. Place that over there, make that visible again, boom. Now, there's a little bit of lines here. Now, for most thumbnails, it won't matter too much because the thumbnails are at a very small resolution. But the reason I layer via copy is not only to avoid the white lines, but so if I erase this right there, those little lines, like I said we'd touch up earlier, then they don't disappear from the background as well. And it also allows us to make a little bit of a mistake. And what I normally do is I do a small, very, very low hardness, very small size, because then if you erase, you can see it erases. Well, it hurt. Well, that's just kidding. That is a terrible example because I just said it'll still be in the background. But like this, you can tell, it erases. It's got a bit of a feather around it, so it doesn't completely erase everything. And that's nice. It gives you a little room for error if you get kind of close to what you don't want deleted. It's not an instant deletion. So we'll just get rid of that. Clear up that hole right there. Clear over here. Deselect. There we go. And now we want to fix Chloe. So we'll go back to this layer. Polygonal select. We'll see where we need to start. About the same place, actually. Right about from the nose. I probably could zoom in a bit better and get closer, which I would recommend doing. But I am, like I said, this isn't an exact tutorial. I've already made this thumbnail. Doesn't need to be perfect. Okay, that's annoying. I was clicking a little bit too quickly, and what that sometimes does is if you double click, it works the same as what I was saying earlier about control click, and it will just center it off, or not center it off. It will close the selection with wherever you have your mouse. Okay, I went like way out on that one little piece right there, but that's fine. It doesn't matter too much. Because like I said, it's just a tutorial. Move that layer up, and boom! Suddenly Chloe's right there. So we're gonna move over here. We're going to go do the same with douche face. Where is it? About his nose. Wow, I like lined that up very well. And this image, it's kind of hard to tell where his face, where his head ends, because his color of the back of his head is about the same color as the wall, and he's technically moving in this scene, so that's why he's a little bit blurry, because I don't necessarily have the graphics set to the maximum. So my computer is good, but it's not great. So make sure you select that layer again, layer via copy, move that up, make that visible, and now he's in front of it. And yeah, we can't see the E, but everyone pretty much knows what the game is just from that logo. And if we really need to, we can select this, and we can move it up just a bit. And then you kind of see the top of the E, but I don't necessarily like it there. I think it looks fine right there. It gives it a bit more of a creative tone to it. We will zoom back out, and boom! That looks a lot nicer, rather than having... Well, wait a second. I thought of a much easier way to do that. Rather than having all of that under it, it adds a bit more of a... I don't know, depth to it, I guess, is what the word I'm going for. And this makes it look like it's not just boom, words thrown over, like, hey, I took this photo and then I threw some words over it. Like, it takes like 5 minutes to do, and a lot less if you're only like cropping out like one head or like one arm or one tree, you know, whatever. It doesn't take that long, and it adds what I think at least is a really nice touch to it. But we're not done quite yet, because I actually forgot something on this logo. An outer glow. Turn the opacity up just a bit. Spread it out. Not quite that far. We'll turn the opacity down just a bit, actually. Make the size about right there. And you can change the colors of it. Make it blue if you want to. But I'm not going to. I like the white. That's what I normally do for Life is Strange. And then that just adds a little bit more contrast to the background. It lets you see it pops out a bit more. You can read it a bit clearer when it's like it's a bit further away like that. This is probably about the size your thumbnails will be. Although, probably looks a lot smaller to you because you're on our YouTube screen, not my monitor. But we're still not done. Still need to add one more thing. That is the episode title. That is a really big font. Why the heck is it that big? Quick little tip, if you hold this, you can change the font size just by moving your mouse left and right. And geez, how big is that? Is that ew, that looks weird. Just stab him in the face, why don't we? Let's turn that down a lot. I don't know why it was up that high. I don't think I've ever made anything that big before. And so there is a let's make that there's a few ways you can do this. You can go episode 1. I need to move that so it's on frame. Or you can just do what I do with this series. 1, 2, 5. Obviously I skipped a few numbers. And that brings us to our next little thing we need to discuss before we actually finish discussing the number placement, is fonts. There's lots of those. There's thousands upon thousands of them out there on the internet. There's a lot of good ones as well, and there's a lot of not so great ones. And something you need to look out for is some of them are free, some of them are not. I'm not I can't give you a list of free ones and a list of not free ones because I don't feel like doing that, honestly. There's a lot of them that are free for personal use, free for business, so just be careful when you're using them. If you download them from Defont, which is what I normally go to, it says next to them what the licensing for them is, so that's really easy. And the font that I'm using, a font I use a lot, actually, but I don't like the way it looks with this aesthetic. Okay, it's not gonna help. Is, whoops. Nope, I can't spell. Slant regular. And I didn't actually have that selected, so that was pointless. In slant regular. Now, obviously, it looks a little weird. The earlier numbers is really what I didn't like. Like the 1, the 2, like they just, for this series, they just look a little blocky to me. I don't really necessarily like that. That is my default constant go-to font, though, is slant. It's kind of like I've had it ever since I started OtakuTakaTaco, and I like the way it looks, and it's stuck with me for a while, and I almost always use it in any of my graphics. So Agency FB is a nice font. Dang it. Agency Bureau Agency FB Bold, or just FB regular. Those are nice fonts, but that looks almost too plain for this. So what we're going to use is, whoops, oh, there already is an I there. Devil Summoner, let's see. What have I been using? Devil Summoner, there's a laser, which adds a little line through the top of it. There's a faux italic, there's an outline. I think I'm just using regular? Or expanded. I'm using expanded, or extra expanded, but that looks a little too thick. So we'll just go with expanded. Now, we can place this right there, but that looks a little boring. And we'll line it up with the end of the Life is Strange, which is why I was saying those pink lines. This was not part of CS6. This is, so far that I know, in the Adobe Photoshop Creative Cloud is the only one I've seen to do it. There might be a setting you can add in other versions, or Adobe Light Shop, or the different photo editing programs. I'm not entirely familiar with those. I just thought it was a nice thing for Creative Cloud. So if you do have that, I highly recommend it. It's really easy to use. It's what I use. You can be like me. One thing I almost always do with anything font or logo related is bevel, couture it, and we can do a few things with this. Add an outer glow, you can add a drop shadow, and you can use a global light so your shadows are all facing the same direction. And we can actually add a pattern. Now I have a few patterns that not entirely sure if those patterns are even still installed, honestly, since I've reset my computer. There are a few of them. I actually kind of like that pinstripe, but it's a little too thin. So what we can do about that is just scale it up a bit more. Be like, boom. We scale it down. You can barely even see it. You can do that. But since I don't have the font installed that I normally use, I use this one because it's similar-ish. It's like a metallic grate, kind of. I have to actually reinstall those. And you can add a stroke, which is just a small little outline, or it can be a big, oh, just kidding. Big outline, be small, or it can be thick. But with this one, I've just kind of been using a very small one. just so it's there, and it separates the pattern from the rest of the image, and it does look like it just kind of blends in there. And that looks good for now. We'll just accept that. Nice little 5 we got there, but I'm still not done. One thing, if you have a font, you can rotate them. The pattern will actually, I believe, rotate with it, or the pattern does not rotate, actually. The pattern stays static. So as you rotate it, you get you can see the pattern's moving behind it. And we'll apply that, we'll move it. Now the one cool thing is that if you do not, like, you can see I can still plainly edit it, and it automatically applies the effect to anything else that I type. That is one major thing I will give to Photoshop over any of the freeware programs I've had, because otherwise all these effects I just did you'll have to do manually, and that is not fun, trust me. I used that with GIMP for the longest time before I started using Photoshop. Photoshop makes it 10 times easier. There is one thing I will say is, just as a fair warning, if you go to, what did I do? Press the wrong button. Control, oh, I'm already in, what? Why is this not working? Hold on. Why are my shortcuts not working? What is going on? Oh, because I'm in the, okay. Sorry, my bad. If you skew it, you can do that, and you can go to move, it'll be like apply the transformation, apply, you can still change it. However, if you go, whoops, I didn't mean to do that, you can notice perspective and distort are not there. So, if you wanted to do that, you right click on your apply the transformation, right click on the layer tab, and again, rasterize the layer. Now, there is one thing this does. It does not make it any more editable by the fonts tool. So keep that in mind. But then you can, if you don't mind just retyping it, add a bit of a perspective to it. Like, whoa, look at that. You know, it's, 3D. It's behind Chloe's head. You do things like that. Or you could even go like this, make it go behind Chloe's head, but it is now in front of her head. Yeah, it's weird, but we're not gonna do that because that looks weird, and people can't read that. So one thing to always think about whenever you make a thumbnail, zoom it out. See how it looks from about roughly, I don't know, like 30% of its size, just about, and that'll give you a better idea. This is actually 50%, but it's going to look really teeny on your screen because you're on the YouTube viewer. But zoom it out to about 30, between like 20 and 30%, because that's how it's going to look to people browsing on YouTube. And if you go like here, you have it full screened, and you go to your text, edit your text, no, stop that. It's stupid, why would I do that? Okay, oh, I know why. I told myself this already. No. There. It wasn't a text file. You can be like, make it, oh, I don't have that selected. You can make it be like, episode 5. Yeah, that looks fine from here. Except, when you go to zoom out, it's kind of small. People might not necessarily see that. So if we back it up, boom, 5, right there. And yeah, that's basically it. That is pretty much the thumbnail made. The last thing we're going to talk about, since this thumbnail is ready, is saving the thumbnail. Now you could use export, and you could export as and you could go through all that jazz. However, I don't ever really use this. But just as a little test right now, we're going to export it. I think what this does, what it's supposed to do anyway, is make it a smaller file size. And we're going to test that out right now. Don't look at that name. Don't look at that name. I know it was wrong. I don't care. Too tired right now. What I normally will do is hit save as, change it to PNG. This is where I store my things, but I'll just kind of go back out to desktop, and we'll Life is Strange saved rather than exported. And it'll go boom. Goes through its little thing, saves it out as whatever. So this is the one that was exported. That is the one that was saved. Visually, there's no difference between the two. However, properties, Life is Strange, 834 gigabytes. Properties, 826 gigabytes. It is essentially the same exact thing. So there is no need to hit export, wait for the thingy to load up, you know, change it, click. No, just save as PNG, done. That's it. And the reason I use PNG images is because PNG supports transparency. We just deleted those things that we worked so hard on. It makes me sad. So that is your basic thumbnail tutorial. Not really a tutorial, just kind of my concept, what I do, what I don't do, how I do it. More of my creative process, behind the scenes kind of thing. Hopefully you learned something. Hopefully this was a fun video for you to watch, and hopefully you liked it. If you do like it, please like it and leave me a comment. Tell me things you might want to see from me in the future. If you do like this tutorial video, say, hey, Taco, I'm having trouble with this. Can you help me out? And I'll make a video about it. Or maybe you want to know how to structure your videos better, or how I structure my videos, as in like what I trim, what I don't trim, fast forwarding, you know, face cam placement, things like that. If you want to see something like that, then let me know, and I might make one that'll be more generalized for both Camtasia, Premiere, you know, whatever editing software you do use. I personally use Premiere. I used Camtasia for the longest time. It's a really great program, and if your computer cannot run Premiere, I recommend trying Camtasia. A lot of people use Sony Vegas. I personally don't like Vegas myself. I can't get into it. I don't like the user interface. That's just my personal preference. There's nothing wrong with the program. But I will do a more generalized tutorial, not very program specific. If you want something like that, maybe you don't. Maybe you hated this video. If you hate this video, tell me down in the description. Say, hey, you ramble on way too much. Just show me what to do and then leave. And never come back. But yeah, if you're having trouble with something, tell me. If you liked it, let me know. If you did learn something, then please, I would love to hear that I helped you in some way. It makes me happy. Anyway, thanks again for watching, and I will see you later. If I can remember what key ends the video. That was not